This is a summary of Nicki Minaj and Erica Kirk at the Turning Point USA. Nicki Minaj is like, boys, don't be scum. You have amazing role models, like your handsome, dashing President Trump. And the crowd like roars, right? And like Erica's like, and then Nicki Minaj is like, or the assassin JD Vance. And Erica's still like,
a lot of people underestimate just how far Nicki Minaj is willing to go to try and one-up somebody that she is intimidated by. And that's why so many people are disillusioned by her most recent behavior. But to be quite honest, she has always been this kind of person and nothing has changed. The writing has been on the wall for quite some time now.
I'm not understanding why y'all are confused about this whole Nicki Minaj and Erica Kirk when literally the answer is so clear. This is why she was with Erica Kirk. This is why she's all of a sudden so pro-Trump. This is why she's now MAGA. And this is why she's so pro-Trump. What we are seeing right now is her trying to be so different from what her ops are, to the point to where she's perfectly okay with going into MAGA territory.
Apparently, Nicki Minaj deleted her Instagram after losing like 10 million followers. Like, girl, what did you think was gonna fucking happen? It's genuinely so crazy to me to like what was going on in her mind, knowing what her fan base is, knowing that her fan base is mainly queer people of color. Like, what did she think was going to happen?
What do Nicki Minaj, Leo Skepi, and Jackie Hill Perry have in common? That is a willingness to sell out their own communities for institutional power. So let's talk about it.
The most tragic fall isn't from a great height. It's a slow, deliberate walk down from the throne, locking yourself in a smaller, darker room and calling it a promotion. For one of hip-hop's most undeniable queens, that door just slammed shut.
A lot of people underestimate just how far Nicki Minaj is willing to go to try and one-up somebody that she is intimidated by, and that's why so many people are disillusioned by her most recent behavior. But to be quite honest, she has always been this kind of person and nothing has changed. The writing has been on the wall for quite some time now. It's not far-fetched to believe that Nicki Minaj is aligning herself with the Republicans as of right now because her mortal enemies within the music industry are aligned with the Democrats, and she feels as though she has been left out of the club. Just like it's not far-fetched to believe that the only reason why Nicki Minaj even got with Kenneth Petty in the first place is because Kenneth Petty is a dangerous criminal and a gang member, and her mortal enemy within the industry, who is Cardi B, is a part of that same gang within New York, and she wanted to be able to antagonize Cardi B freely without having to worry about being attacked. And it actually makes a lot of sense because in her most recent online spat with Cardi B, one of the things she said in her tweets is, "I outranked you in your own gang," which gives you a glimpse into the inner world and the mentality of Nicki Minaj and how she thinks. Like, she's very petty. She will compete over the most silliest, most stupid things, even if it destroys her. Like, she doesn't care how stupid she looks to the rest of the world. As long as she can have the upper hand and one up somebody that she doesn't like, she is willing to take that risk. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that this is why Nicki Minaj has been on the warpath that she's been on for the past few years now. Like, a lot of it has to do with hypervigilance from being destabilized by other female rappers such as Remy Ma, but I also think it has to do with the fact that she built her career on dominance, and once you build your career on dominating other people, anybody who poses a threat to your dominance has to be neutralized, at least in Nicki Minaj's mind. The reason why this is a plausible theory is because there was a point in time when Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion would release a single, and then all of a sudden Nicki Minaj would randomly drop a single on the same exact date as them to try and steal attention away from their music while also keeping her name trending in the algorithm. And it was always oddly timed, as if she knew exactly when their release dates were. Now, if you fast forward to her online spat with Lotto did reveal to us that Nicki Minaj told her on the phone, "Do you think I don't know everybody's release dates at every major record label?" And in the intro of her Chun Li single, she narrates, "I kept my spies on you. I didn't like what they reported back. You should have known that this was perfectly designed architecture." So Nicki Minaj has been signaling for a while now that she does have moles within the music industry who feed her information about other people's release dates, particularly people that she doesn't like, so that she can try and sabotage their releases by releasing on the same date as them and stealing attention away from their hype. Now, if we zone in on her beef with Roc Nation and Megan Thee Stallion, that actually tracks, because do you guys remember that photographer that was working for Megan Thee Stallion who randomly got fired for some undisclosed reason and also happened to be a barb who then later sued Megan Thee Stallion for sexual harassment after being fired? Well, there was industry insider speculation that that photographer was actually working for Nicki Minaj as a double agent and was giving Nicki Megan's release date so that Nicki could sabotage it by releasing on the same day. And basically, the rumor is that because Nicki Minaj no longer has insider sources in Roc Nation, she has resorted to fighting overtly as opposed to engaging in a cold war with Megan. Now, when that's all said and done, Megan Thee Stallion releases 2 singles. She releases Cobra, and Nicki Minaj reacts on Twitter subliminally, and then she releases Hiss, and Nicki Minaj completely loses it. She goes on a 7-day spiral and makes a complete fool out of herself on the internet and releases a terrible diss track because she didn't realize that Megan had been studying her and her tactics and weaponized her own tactic against her, which is the subliminal jab, baiting the person into a reaction, and then feigning innocence to the public. And Megan completely outmaneuvered Nicki because Nicki was the one trying to bait Megan into addressing her directly, but Megan played it cool. She refused to be baited, and all of a sudden she throws in a slick jab and Hiss, and Nicki Minaj completely loses face in front of the entire world, giving Megan the upper hand in the spectacle of everything. I don't want this to be a dragged out analysis of Nicki Minaj's rap feuds. This is more of an overview of the psychology of Nicki Minaj and how she built her entire career off of dominating other women within the music industry, not just hip-hop music, but also R&B and hip-hop as well. When you've built your entire brand off of dominance, you can't not be dominant, otherwise your brand suffers an injury. And Nicki Minaj has been paying attention to the institutional power that surrounds people like Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Jay-Z, and Beyonce. It irritates her because she feels like she's not included in the club. So what does she do? She goes and sides with the Republicans instead to spite them, which is silly because they don't care about her and they're not paying attention to her, but she's paying attention to them because she has a need to be dominant all the time. It feels like an identity fracture when she is not dominating the situation in any capacity. And this is why Nicki Minaj has been on a war path to self-destruction at all costs just to prove a point. And in my opinion, Jay-Z and Desiree Perez are not concerned with Nicki Minaj as much as her fans would like to believe. I do believe that Nicki Minaj came up with that lie so that she could look justified in attacking them because she doesn't like the fact that they support Megan Thee Stallion, who permanently fractured her image when the whole Hiss saga unfolded. She doesn't like the fact that Megan outsmarted her, made her look stupid, and she has been on a never-ending mission to destroy the foundation that supports Megan. So to sum this all up, Nicki Minaj is a spoiled brat who is obsessed with power and dominance, and she's willing to destroy everything that she's built just so that she can dominate the situation in the moment, even if it costs her everything, and that is quite a tragedy.
Not understanding why y'all are confused about this whole Nicki Minaj and Erica Kirk when literally the answer is so clear. This is why she was with Erica Kirk. This is why she's all of a sudden so pro-Trump. This is why she's now MAGA. And this is why she's so pro-Trump. What we are seeing right now is her trying to be so different from what her ops are, to the point to where she's perfectly okay with going into MAGA territory. She's literally doing like how in middle school when Twilight came out, and the girls that were beefing, if one of them was Team Edward, the other one was Team Jacob, just out of spite. And so many of her fans, especially her fans that are LGBT, are leaving comments like, oh, well, I'm separating the artist from the music. Oh, I don't care what she believes in. Her music is still good. I'm sorry, but you actively supporting someone who doesn't support you, someone who is advocating for the political party that wants to take rights away from you, you're literally supporting the person with a platform, someone that can easily influence others to vote against your own rights, to vote against your best interest. That is why it matters.
To understand the present rupture, you have to go back to the original blueprint. Nicki Minaj didn't just enter hip-hop. She declared war on its gendered barriers. Her legacy was built on a dual foundation: unparalleled technical skill and a deliberately combative, take-no-prisoners persona. For years, the beefs with Lil' Kim, with Remy Ma, were framed as necessary battles in a war for the crown. The aggression was part of the brand, a proof of her authentic, untamable fire. I remember the energy when she dropped Monster. It felt like a tectonic shift. But there's a critical difference between fighting for your spot at the table and later trying to flip the table over on everyone else. That early friction was directional, outward, conquering. It was about claiming space in a male-dominated industry. But over time, a pattern solidified. Conflict wasn't just a tool for ascent. It became her native language, her primary mode of engagement. The industry rival turned into online spats, public callouts, and a persistent narrative of being perpetually besieged. The fire that forged her crown began to singe the very platform it sat upon.
What do Nicki Minaj, Leo Skepi, and Jackie Hill Perry have in common? That is a willingness to sell out their own communities for institutional power. So let's talk about it. Recently, Das Discourse had an amazing video where he said, commitment to faith within the white evangelical church has never been measured by one's commitment to Jesus, but actually one's commitment to white supremacy and to propagating white supremacist ideals. And I love that framing, so I want us to talk about it a bit more. And something I said in a video about 6 months ago about Candace Owens is so many people see Candace Owens as intelligent because at the beginning of her career, she had a willingness to denounce her own communities. And for white communities, they see the high highest marker of intelligence for a person of color or someone of marginalized identity, as being a willingness to denigrate one's own community so that you can be palatable to white supremacist institutions. Now, a lot of folks might not know this, but a lot of major religious institutions actually have a part of their ministry practice dedicated to celebrity ministry. They go into Hollywood, they go into LA, and they want to get celebrities to be a part of their religious work so they can propagate their message and so they can particularly reach young people. Now, folks might disagree with me on this, but my theory around this is that celebrities are uniquely vulnerable, actually, to theological indoctrination because a lot of fundamentalist Christianity is based upon the idea that you can gain the world and lose your soul. And if you are a celebrity who's also in crisis, it's easy to assign that to a sense of spiritual deficiency and to be manipulated by these Christian fundamentalist religious institutions and to become a mouthpiece for their agendas. We saw this with Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez. If you all remember, Hillsong United was built upon their backs. There was so much media attention about how Justin Bieber was going to Hillsong churches. So much of religious institutions are built upon celebrity, which is important to name because religious institutions also demonize Hollywood and they demonize the Hollywood left, but they actually want to be a part of it. And anytime they can be a part of it, they will become enmeshed with celebrity culture as a way to get to institutional power. It is so sad to watch someone who was critical of Donald Trump's deportation policies and their music just 10 years ago become entrenched with Donald Trump now, become entrenched with their religious right. And it's been sad to see this happen to Kanye West and other celebrities as well over the years. Not only was Nicki Minaj critical of the Trump administration, but Charlie Kirk himself mentioned how she was a terrible role model for Black women. He denigrated her, he subjugated her, and he essentially blamed her for what he saw as a failing culture amongst Black America.
Right now, Black culture is being held captive by influences, songs,
Which
and
influences?
role models. I mean, Nicki Minaj, Cardi B.
Okay, Nicki Minaj is causing dads to leave the home.
Hold on, I don't think that's a good role model for 18-year-old Black girls. I don't.
So what's fascinating is we have to contend with, can Nicki Minaj only be on that stage with Erica Kirk because Charlie Kirk died? If Charlie Kirk was alive, would he have even allowed Nicki Minaj to come into that space? Would he have seen her as being worthy in that space? And as Das Discourse highlights in his video, does this simply illuminate that, within Christian communities, there's nothing to do with faith. It is all to do with self-hating. That the barrier for entry is not about, are you a Black or brown or queer person who is invested in, a relationship with God? But the question is, are you a Black or brown or queer person who is invested in moving against and hurting and being an obstacle to your own community's advancement? If so, you are welcome here. And that's a message we need to really examine collectively. Something I say in my content all the time is Christian nationalism and whiteness as a racial construct are co-constructed, meaning they are deeply connected. We define whiteness through a religious lens. We define whiteness as sacred. We define whiteness as untouchable. We define whiteness as good, and we utilize religion to do so. And so the only way Nicki Minaj was able to come into that door, the only pre-qualifier for Nicki Minaj to sit on that stage was, does she see whiteness as superior to every other community? And she confirmed through her engagement there that she does. And she also confirmed through her engagement that she's engaging in Christian supremacy, that she sees Christian communities as the only communities that matter, and that is a type of violence as well.
Funniest part about Nicki Minaj showing up with Erica Kirk to Turning Point USA's AmericaFest event is not the fact that she's Nicki Minaj and she attended, and she's at a conservative, right-leaning festival. It's the fact that it's called America First, and Nicki Minaj is an American. And even in her sit-down with Erica Kirk, she said this administration makes people, and I think she said her, proud to be an American. She's not an American. Is Nicki Minaj in the United States legally? Yes. She is not a citizen of America. So I'm not going to talk about her intentions of why she decided to show up at Turning Point USA's event, AmericaFest, but one can only assume that this is part of a campaign to gain U.S. citizenship, which she has been outly and open about desiring and wanting. It's just funny to think about that was a headlining speaker, as if at a pro-American America First festival, and you got a non-American to talk at it. Both parties, Turning Point USA and Nicki Minaj, are a walking contradiction when it comes to this.
Then the targets and the stakes changed. The feud with Megan Thee Stallion wasn't just another industry clash. It was a seismic event that revealed a new, more troubling alignment. Accusations of career sabotage, the mobilization of a fan army for harassment, and the deeply personal nature of the attacks signaled a shift. This wasn't just about rap, it felt punitive. It coincided with her increasingly vocal support for conservative figures and ideologies, a lane so unexpected it shocked the culture. The culmination was the Turning Point USA conference. This wasn't just a political appearance, it was a powerful, symbolic realignment. For a Black female artist whose fanbase is largely young, female, and Black/brown, stepping onto that stage wasn't seen as a mere difference of opinion. It was read as a profound betrayal, a cosign of a movement many in her core community view as actively hostile to their rights and dignity. The loss of 10 million followers wasn't just about numbers, it was a mass digital exodus. Her community didn't just disagree, they disowned. The Barbs were left to reconcile the queen they built with the icon who now seemed to platform their political adversaries.
This is a summary of Nicki Minaj and Erica Kirk at the Turning Point USA. Nicki Minaj is like, boys, don't be scum. You have amazing role models, like your handsome, dashing President Trump. And the crowd like roars, right? And like Erica's like, and then Nicki Minaj is like, or the assassin JD Vance. And Erica's still like, her husband was assassinated 2 months ago. And she's like this, I love Nicki Minaj. It's okay. She can say what she wants. JD Vance assassinated my husband, but he's still a role model. And people have called me everything, but God loves me. I felt so uncomfortable watching that. And then Nicki Minaj finishes this video with like, and boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. And that's the way it should be. Just so we're clear, I'm pretty sure Nicki Minaj just accused JD Vance of being Charlie Kirk's assassinator. Meanwhile, both girls are up on stage like this. Stop. What?
If you're out here still claiming to be a barb, you're MAGA. You're literally MAGA, and I don't care what anybody has to say. You are MAGA. I don't care if 1 million barbs flood my comment section. You're MAGA. If you support that woman, you support Donald Trump. You are MAGA. And you know, it's actually super ironic because the barbs have always kind of been the MAGAs of the music fandoms. You know, just kind of going along with what she says because she the queen. She the queen of rap. So y'all will go to war in comment sections over this woman's unhinged, unnecessary, uncalled for Twitter rants. Beefs with anybody in the motherfucking industry at like, girl, no. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense. And then for the fact that a lot of her fan base is gay black men, but she over here at Turning Point USA with Erica Kirk, talking about the assassin JD Vance. Yeah, let's go ahead and leave Nicki Minaj in 2025. Because what the hell was that? Girl, ew.
Apparently, Nicki Minaj deleted her Instagram after losing like 10 million followers. Like, girl, what did you think was gonna fucking happen? It's genuinely so crazy to me to like what was going on in her mind, knowing what her fan base is, knowing that her fan base is mainly queer people of color. Like, what did she think was going to happen? I've gotten to a point now where I've taken her out of my playlists because I can't do it. And with all of the stuff that she's done in recent years, I've already kind of been on the verge of that because I was like, okay, maybe I could separate the art from the artist and this and this and that. But at this point, I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. I cannot in good conscience give you residuals. I can't stream your music and get you paid when you're doing some shit like this. It's really crazy the way that 2025 is going out with a bang, with like so many people getting their asses handed to them and getting their karma. It's giving justice is being served. It's giving Pluto and Aquarius. Everybody needs to be real careful. Bad people need to be real careful right now.
And this brings us to the core tragedy, the trade. Nicki Minaj appears to be trading a hard-earned cultural legacy for a new form of loyalty, one that is politically partisan and, by its nature, divisive. The deletion of social media after the backlash isn't just an avoidance tactic. It's a symbolic retreat from the very public square she once dominated. She's silencing her own megaphone. The question is no longer about who she's beefing with, but what she's beefing for. Is it for the throne of hip-hop, or for a seat at a completely different table? The self-sabotage isn't in having opinions. It's in the glaring disconnect between the woman who built an empire on the empowerment and audacity of Black women and the figure who now lends her platform to a movement often accused of undermining that very empowerment. It creates an unresolvable dissonance. You cannot be both the people's champ and a champion for a politics many of your people see as an existential threat. The legacy isn't being destroyed by critics. It's being willingly mortgaged for a new, narrower, and far more volatile kind of clout.
Nicki Minaj's downfall was literally captured in 4K HD, high res. Okay? She literally stated in an audience full of MAGA supporters, right-wing supporters, extreme right-winged supporters, that that moment being in front of them meant more to her than anything else that she's ever accomplished in her life, in her career. MAGA officially means more to Nicki Minaj than the Barbs. For the last 15 years, Nicki Minaj has been telling her fan base to never give up on education, to never ever stop chasing higher education, only to go inside with the side that's literally defunding education. She went from paying her Barb's tuitions, okay? I'm talking about nursing school, you understand, medical school. She went from paying for you guys' tuition to now offering her platform, her very, very valuable platform, to an administration that is literally destroying American public school systems. The LGBTQ plus community. She told y'all to never stop being who you were, to live in your truth, to stay true to who you are and stay on these bitches' necks, only for her to get on a couch and nationally state to all of you that it's okay to be a boy. As an immigrant who has a lot of immigrant supporters, the Caribbean fucked with her heavy just because she was from the Caribbean, okay? She's now sided with an administration that is literally actively carrying out the most inhumane deportation policy in American history. And she's still a Trinidadian citizen. She's still an immigrant. During the shutdown, the government shutdown, the federal government shutdown, she told the Democrats to stay firm. She tweeted, "Stand strong. The people need you. America needs you." And now, in front of an audience full of MAGA supporters, literally people who hate the entire, almost 95% of her fan base, okay, literally said that nothing that she's ever accomplished compares, right? It didn't mean as much as this. Those were her words exactly. It didn't mean as much as this, as that moment on Turning Point. Ariana Grande unfollowed her. Amber Rose started defending her. Amber Rose started defending her. I've never been a Barb, although I can always give credit where it's due as far as her talent. But for the Barbs, I actually feel bad for you guys. I actually feel bad for you. Because this is one of the worst ways for you to realize the person that you thought, you understand, spoke to a certain point in your life or helped you get through certain areas, hardships in your life. The music was just the music. I fear she is not the person who you thought she was.
Well, damn, I did not see us ending 2025 like this, y'all. All this conversation about her speaking at the Turning Point USA made me really take a pause. Not even because it's Nicki, but because it made me think of a bigger question about how we treat celebrities. When it comes to artists you love, do you separate the art from the person completely? Or does who they are, what they stand for, and who they align themselves with matter? I saw a post where somebody said, "I do not care who she aligns herself with. I'm here for the music." I actually think that opens a bigger conversation about parasocial relationships. Because whether you admit it or not, you consume more than just the music. You start defending the person, start excusing things from them that you wouldn't excuse from people in your real life. I know people are saying there's a bigger meaning behind this, like it's a publicity stunt, album rollout, money grab, and maybe it is. But either way, it's becoming part of your legacy. The music can be good, the talent can be undeniable. At some point, who you align yourself with and what you're willing to stand next to matters. People aren't just listening to the music. They're validating things they don't even fully understand. I'm not saying you have to agree with me, but listen, backing someone no matter what they do is a slippery slope.
The story of Nicki Minaj is a masterclass in how an artist can confuse defiance with direction, and how a fortress mentality can leave you isolated in a prison of your own making. So, here's the challenge. Define your kingdom. Every creator, every person with a platform must ask, what is the core of my legacy? Is it built on the community that elevated me, or on the new alliances that flatter me? When you choose to speak, know that every word builds your monument or chips away at its foundation. You can be complex, you can evolve, but you cannot demand unwavering loyalty from a community whose values you publicly platform against. Protect your art, protect your story, and know that the strongest thrones are built on foundations of authentic connection, not on the shifting sands of performative rebellion.